This is Pre-Algebra 1, Lesson 3.4, pages 137 through 141. And do you know that the width of a human hair is about 0.0389763 inch? That's the size of a hair. That's how tiny it is. That's the part of an inch that it is. 0.0389763. That's just bizarre. That number. That's just too big of a number to even talk about. So this lesson is about how do we round decimals down. My son, for some reason, is texting me over something. He did this Monday night, and now he's doing it tonight. So, doing it right now while I'm trying to record your lesson. So I apologize for the beeps. So I want to talk to you about a number line and how it relates to rounding decimals. And so if you had a number line and you had 3.6 right here, and over here you had 3.7. I don't need the zero there. And the green mark, the green circles here indicate that these are tenths. The 3.6 is in the tenths. That one decimal place is in the tenth place. Over here, I didn't mean to put the zero, but it doesn't change anything. The 7 is in the tenths place there. Now, in between what I circled with orange lines are the hundredths positions because there's a second number, as in 3.61, 3.62, 3.64, 3.65, 3.66, 3.67, 3.68, 3.69. The 1, the 2, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, the 8, and the 9 are all in the hundredths position. Now, if you had 3.67, which is right here, and I said, is it closer to 3.7 or is it closer to 3.6? And we can see here, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3 jumps and I'm there. If I go back here, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps to go to 3.6. So clearly, it's 3.7. And if you remember that the rounding up, if you have a number, if it's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, you're rounding down. If it's 5, 6, 7, 8, you're rounding up, the rounding up side. Actually, I should have done it the other way. I should have put the 5 on the other side. But anyhow, here, I'll fix it. I don't want to confuse you. I didn't mean to do it that way. I guess I ate too much at lunch. My brain is a little foggy. Okay, so we have going up, you're going to round up if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and you're going to round down if it's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So, in this case, we have a 6 right here. Right there is a 6. And the 6 means that we're going to round up the number to the left of it. In this case, 3.67 is closer to 3.7 than it is 3.6. Wrote the 0 there again, don't know why. This is a little bit more information on rounding to decimal places. Rounding to decimal places is exactly like rounding whole numbers. You just have more numbers and therefore greater accuracy. So you can end up with a whole bunch of decimal places after the decimal, particularly when you're working with in math, higher levels of math, and in science. So let's just look at this. In the red one here, the 3 is in the units digit. It's to the right of to the left of the decimal, and so that's a units. That's in the ones position there. 2 right here, this purple 2 is in the tenths position. It's the first decimal place is a tenth, so that would be 2 tenths. The 4 is in the hundredths spot, so that's 4 hundredths. The 8 is in the thousandths space, and that's the third decimal place over. And we pronounce it with the last decimal place there. So we would say this is 3.248 thousandths. That's how we would say that. Now over here we have 3.248 is rounded to 1 decimal spot. So 1 decimal spot means we need to get, we're looking at the 2 here. So we look at the number next to it, that's a 4. The 4 means we're going to round down, so we could round 3.248, we could round down to 3.2. Let's look at this one. This is 3,248 rounded to 2 decimal places. And looks like in this little diagram they left the decimal point. It should have been between the 3 and the 2 here. If it asks you to round to the second decimal place, which is what the DP stands for, then we're gonna round to the 4, which means we look to the number, the 8 here that's next to it, and that's an 8, so we're going to round up, and that one would be 3.25. Now here's some examples that I found, and just want to show you, just go through it again. We have 473 and 694 hundredths, and we're going to round to the tenths position. So that means we're going to change, we got to figure out, or to the hundredths position, that's what is in parentheses here. So we have to look at the 4 here, and we're looking at what we're going to do with the number in the box, because that's the hundredths position. And in this case, the 4 is, we're going to round down, and so we just drop it. We don't do anything here to the 6 and 9. Here we have 499 thousandths, and we're going to round to the tenths position. That means we can put a box around the 4. We look to the number to the right of it here, and that's a 9. So that means the number in the box would be rounded up to the 5. Here we have, we're going to round to the thousandths position, which is the 3rd decimal place over. So we put a box around the 4. That means we look at the one next to it, and that's a 5, so we can change that 4 to a 5. Here we have 74.61. We're rounding to the ones position, so that's the other side of the decimal. We're looking at the 4 here, so we have to look to the number, even at the decimal place, we have to look to the number to the right of it, and that would be, that's 4, that's 5, so we change the 4 to a 5, and we end up with 92. Well, my iPad went to mute, so I'm not real sure where I stopped recording here. So I'm not going to go all the way through it, but you can look at this and see examples of it tells you you're going to round to the hundredths or the tenth spot, thousandth spot, one spot, hundredth spot, thousandth spot, tenth spot. So you put a box around that, and then you're looking at the one next door to it to see how it will affect the number in the box. You might also come across something that says round to the leading digit. So let's say you have a guitar that was created, that is 0.0003937 inch long. Round the length of the guitar to the place value of the leading digit. Well, you might say, what's the leading digit? The leading digit is the first non-zero digit. So the first number that's not a 0 is going to be the leading digit. In this case, the first number that's not a 0 is going to be this 3 here, and it is in the 10,000th spot. It's 4 places over, and so you should round the digit to the nearest 10,000th spot. So now we have to look at the number next to it, which is a 9. 9 is to the right of the 10,000th place, so that would mean that we would round up the 3 to a 4, and then we would just have 0.0004 would be the answer there. When you're rounding small numbers, we round to the leading digit to make sure the decimal is easier to understand. And again, it's the first non-zero number. So it doesn't matter how many zeros, the first number that's not a 0, that's going to be the leading digit. On this one, you can see here that I'm trying to identify the leading digit and then rounding the decimal. So here the first non-zero number is a 5, and the 8 means that we're going to round up the 5, and we end up with 0.06. Here the first leading digit is a 9, followed by a 1. 1 isn't going to change the 9, so we leave the 9 and drop the 1. Here we have 0.061 0.192, and 6 is the leading digit. The 1 means we're rounding down, not going to do anything, and so that is 0.006. Now we're going to talk about using decimals with large numbers, and to do this I need you to pause the thing and go to page 139 in your book and look at example 4 at the top of the page. So pause it till you get that open. Okay, so you can see there's it says baseball salaries, and it says round the annual salary shown in the nearest 100,000, then write each rounded salary as a decimal number in millions. Display your results in a bar graph. So let's just look at this graph here. And I wrote it out on the screen here, but it's a little bit clearer if you look in your book. The first number there, we have the average salary of the first base person is $4,996,933. His rounded salary is $5,000, and his salary in millions is 5.0 million. So we know that we're rounding that way because it told in the instructions there you're rounding to the nearest 100,000, which is on the we're not in the decimal, what we've been talking about in the decimal area. We're on the other side. So we're going to round to that, and then it becomes a decimal in the end. Let's look at the outfield. The outfielder makes $3,480,792. The rounded salary, because we're going to round to the nearest 100,000, so that's going to be the 4 that's affected. The 4, the next door neighbor is 8. That changes that to a 5, and then we can go over here, drop all the zeros, and put 3.5 million, and it means the same thing. The pitcher is 3,064,021, and the rounded salary, the 0 here on the average salary, the 0 right here is going to the 6 will make that the 0, 1. So the 6 here will make the 0, 1. So then we end up with $3,100,000. And the way we abbreviate that with the decimal is to say 3.1 million. We can drop all the zeros and just write million. And we have the catcher there. He has 2,767,726. And his rounded salary is $2,800,000, and we abbreviate that by 2.8 million. And it shows you can do a little bar graph of who makes the most money. We had the salary in millions there. We had their positions on the bottom, and then it shows that the first baseman goes to 5 million, the outfielder goes about 3.5 million, the pitcher's 3.1 million, and the catcher is, what is he? 2.8 million. So it makes the numbers much more easier to understand, easier to use in a graph because we don't have that long number. If this doesn't make sense to you, then make sure you holler so that I can help you. This is Pre-Algebra 1, Lesson 3.4. Your assignment, again, this is Pre-Algebra 1, Lesson 3.4. Your assignment is to do exercises 1 through 9, 14 through 20, 25 through 29, 33 through 34, 47, 49, 53 through 57, and 60. And the exercises begin on page 139 and go to 141. This assignment is due at the end of class, or if you have to take it home as homework, due before math class tomorrow. Have fun.